Welcome, 8th graders. You are almost done with your design notebook, and there's a couple things you have left to do today. And so I'm going to go over those things. It's answering the essential questions at the top of your design notebook, answering the conclusion questions towards the bottom of your design notebook, and then I'm going to show you a final checklist before you submit it. And you should have everything filled out, and it'll explain how you're being graded for this design notebook. So step number one is answering the essential questions. If you go to your design notebook, you'll see these 5 questions at the top, and each one correlates to day 1 of the project, day 2, day 3, day 4, and day 5. So hopefully each day, as you've gone through the activities, you have an idea of why must algorithms be specific and detailed? In other words, if they're not specific and detailed, what can happen? And write a complete sentence. You're going to do that for each one of these. Why are illustrated directions often easier to understand? What are the differences between complex, simple, and basic behaviors? That answer can be found in the notes down below under developing ideas. How does an understanding of basic behaviors help you with programming? And then lastly, why is practice an important part of the design process? So we're practicing this over and over. Why is that an important part? So that's going to be one of the things you need to have completed today. Towards the bottom then are the conclusion questions. I'll scroll down, and I think there's 3 of them. And remember, write them in complete sentences. Notice they are color-coded. So the orange here is a should do, and it's how does pseudocode make coding easier to understand? Write your answer right below there. And then the blue is a must do. Give 3 examples of basic behaviors. So basic behaviors, remember, if you scroll up above here, we have notes and how a computer can understand it broken down into very basic and individual actions. Give 3 examples of those. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is really easy, 5 is really difficult, how difficult was it for you to break complex tasks into basic behaviors? So here we had a complex task. We had to break it down into individual actions and basic behaviors. So explain, the biggest thing is to explain. If you just write a number of 4, I thought it was difficult, that won't give you a very great grade. And so you want to explain what your number is and use complete sentences. And so next what I want to do is just go over the final checklist. And so these are, I'm going to get rid of this here. Oops. I'm going to move this, so I wanted to make sure you can see all of these. You have 4 grades that you're receiving for every design notebook, and it's going through the design process. So for inquiring and analyzing, did you answer all essential questions? Did you write the algorithms? And this is under the inquiring and analyzing section. And we did this for day number 2 of making sandwich instructions. When you had ham, Swiss cheese, mayo, and all that, you had to write step-by-step instructions. Then you had to do an illustrated set of instructions. And then the third task was getting to the bathroom from wherever it is you sleep. Step-by-step instructions being detailed. So that's in your design notebook. All of this is in your design notebook. For the second grade of developing ideas, you have to have definitions for each vocabulary words. And then we took notes together in class of complex, simple, and basic behaviors. Right after that, there were 2 reflection questions in there, and I'll show where that's located in a moment. And then creating the solution was the long chart where you had to break down a complex behavior into a simple behavior and basic behavior. And then the last thing are the conclusion questions that I just talked about today. There were 3 of them, along with a daily summary for each class. So if I were you, I would pause the video right here, just so you can see all of these things, and you can go back and forth to make sure you have everything answered in your design notebook. So you can pause it now, but I just want to quickly go over where all of this is located in your design notebook. And so going to the top, inquiring and analyzing grade is going to be your essential questions, and then the 3 tasks here. So task number 1 was instructions on how to make a sandwich. Number 2 was an illustrated set of directions. And task number 3 was writing instructions to get from where you sleep to the bathroom. That's grade for inquiring and analyzing. For developing ideas, it was the vocabulary words. You have a definition written in your own words, complete sentences, not just copy and pasted from Google. That'll get you the highest grade for developing ideas, along with all of the notes we took here for complex behaviors, simple behaviors, basic behaviors. That goes down here. That's your second grade, along with these reflection questions. List smaller behaviors you could break the complex behavior brushing my teeth into. And then explain why is it important to think of a computer program as a set of basic, simple, and complex behaviors that a robot needs to follow. The third grade of creating the solution was writing pseudocode. So there is complex behaviors that were broken down into simple steps, and then from there broken down into individual actions. There is a long chart here, and it was taking time to complete all of this. That is your third grade. And then the fourth grade of evaluating was these conclusion questions along with the daily summary at the bottom. Each day you should be writing what you accomplished, what you learned, using complete sentences, being very detailed, and having that filled out. So again, going back to this here, this is your final checklist, and make sure you have all of this done before you submit it. Of course, you can ask your teacher if you want us to check over it before you submit it.